Carl J. Cox here with another $4 million strategies. Very excited here to have our guest, Frank Cespedes. He is the author of Sales Management That Works. Once again, if you love these episodes, I encourage you to subscribe on YouTube. Frank, let's talk about today the subject that we have, which is how to create a scalable marketing process. Tell us what businesses should do.
Well, the first thing, of course, is to understand what is the goal of our marketing, and that's going to vary. In some businesses, the scaling issue for marketing is going to be building awareness either more deeply in our current market or in other markets. In other businesses, that's not the issue. The issue is clarifying the brand, the value proposition. So number one is to understand what that goal should be. And that's a leadership requirement because that's a pretty core strategic function. And then number two, depending on the goal, is making sure that not only the marketers in the organization understand that, but also that others in the organization do. You know, one of the classic issues in trying to align marketing and sales, marketing is focused on awareness, on brand, etc. Sales ultimately wants a lead, and they want a lead that they can close. Well, if marketing is essentially sales support, make sure both sides understand that. But if marketing is not sales support, you're not going to scale marketing effectively unless that's clear. Then the third issue, I think, in scaling marketing, and this is both good news and bad news, we're living through a technological revolution. There are so many more tools available to marketers today that literally did not exist 5 or 10 years ago. All right. And social media is an example, but tools beyond that. That's the good news. The bad news is there are so many more tools that you can spend money on as a marketer, and the efficacy of those tools changes. I'll give you an example. Think about as recently as, 5 years ago, just before the pandemic, how many marketers in the United States could even spell TikTok accurately? Right now, we have congressional hearings. Trust me, there will be other platforms that come along, and this is no longer an area for amateurs. You've got to be in touch in some depth with the algorithms of multiple changing platforms. So the good news is we have many more tools that we can use. The bad news is we still have to allocate our finite budget smartly. And that, in many ways, is one of the bigger issues facing companies, especially growing companies that are entering the scaling stage.
Okay, quick question. We've got 30 seconds left. If I'm going to use that social platform as an example to create a scalable marketing process. There's so many options, but each one is its own individual beast. When you're working with companies, do you recommend going after multiple at one time or try to get really good at one first?
I recommend testing. The good news, especially about these online platforms, I'll use the jargon, but you can now do A/B testing relatively inexpensively. If you're not doing that, shame on you. I don't think the issue is, do we pick this one or do we establish a portfolio? They come and go. The law of diminishing returns is alive and well. Test and keep on testing. And again, it's more and more viable to do that through these media.
Frank, thank you so much for being on $4 Million Strategies.
You're very welcome, Carl.